Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Fabrizio Romano gives a fresh William Saliba and Arsenal contract update. Fabrizio Romano has said that Arsenal will be looking to tie down William Saliba to a new contract as soon as possible now that the season is basically done. The Gunners lost to Nottingham Forest yesterday to hand the title to Manchester City. It means City will lift the trophy after playing Chelsea today, regardless of the result. For Arsenal, attention will now turn to the summer, and as well as bringing in new players, certain contracts need to be sorted as well, one of which is Saliba's. Saliba is set to be rewarded with fresh terms after being exceptional all season. He has been the main man in defense, and his injury late in the season has coincided with Arsenal's slip up. And speaking for Give Me Sport, Romano has said that getting Saliba to sign a new contract is now a priority for the Gunners. He said, "The next priority for Arsenal is going to be William Saliba because they want William Saliba to sign a new deal. It's going to be an important part of the next weeks for Arsenal to continue the conversations and to extend the contract of William Saliba. Saliba is out with a back injury currently. He also has interest from abroad, with the likes of PSG said to be looking. There is no doubt that the Frenchman has been different class this season. At times, he's been the glue holding the whole Arsenal ship together. The Gunners need to make sure he stays around. Failing to tie him to fresh terms would be a nightmare for the club. Saliba should, in theory, be happy to stay. Arsenal are building nicely under Mikel Arteta, and he is key. Gunners fans, then, will be hoping this is done and dusted so that focus can switch to new signings. BBC Pundit says Kieran Tierney will be fuming after Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. BBC Pundit Pat Nevin has suggested that Arsenal fullback Kieran Tierney will be feeling baffled after yesterday's clash with Nottingham Forest. Arsenal once again put in a subpar performance as the Gunners fell to defeat to hand the title to Manchester City. Mikel Arteta decided to make some odd changes to his starting system and 11. One of those decisions was to leave Kieran Tierney on the bench and play Jakub Kiwior and Thomas Partey at fullback. And according to the BBC's Nevin, it's a call that will have left Tierney feeling more than a bit confused. He said, "It's unusual. Arsenal don't like to change their system, but they have done so here. Kiwior at left fullback, Partey at right fullback. But just another thought, the team has been changed around with the players in unfamiliar positions, and your only recognized fullbacks is on the bench. I wonder how Kieran Tierney is feeling right about now." Tierney is one of the Arsenal players who could be on their way out this summer. The Scot has dropped down the pecking order, and yesterday's call from Arteta just reaffirmed that. This was utterly baffling from Mikel Arteta. Arsenal needed to win to keep the title race remotely alive, and in the end, they just whimpered to a defeat with a bizarre team selection. Tierney is so much better down the left side, and while he did come on, the decision to not start him was so odd. Are there cracks starting to appear? Maybe. Only Arteta and the Arsenal players know the answer to that one. But one thing is for sure, and that's Mikel Arteta faces a bigger challenge than he perhaps thought. He needs new players and more winners, and he needs them quickly this summer. Mikel Arteta left seriously impressed with one Arsenal player despite Nottingham Forest defeat. Mikel Arteta has praised Thomas Partey after his display for Arsenal yesterday, despite the defeat at Nottingham Forest. Arsenal officially missed out on the Premier League title on Saturday as a 1-0 defeat led to Manchester City being crowned as champions for the third year running. The Gunners have enjoyed an exceptional campaign, but ultimately fell short at the final hurdle. Mikel Arteta's men weren't at their best against a Forest side who were fighting for a Premier League survival. Steve Cooper's side ensured they will play in England's top flight again next season, thanks to his striker first half effort. Arteta opted to play Thomas Partey in a new role yesterday as he started in the Arsenal backline and drifted into midfield, much like John Stones has done for Man City this season. And despite a disappointing result on the day, the Gunners' boss was impressed with Partey's display. Arteta said, "We had a lot of issues during the week with the players that haven't been able to train, that they only trained half an hour yesterday. We could have done it. I think that Thomas Partey played a really good game in that position. Again, when you lose, I should have done something different, that's for sure." Arsenal fans will undoubtedly be disappointed with the way they have finished the season, but Arteta's men weren't expected to be anywhere near a race for the title before the season began, and they will be hoping to build on what has been a promising campaign. As for Partey, the Ghanaian has been going through a difficult run of form lately, and it was interesting to see Arteta use him in a new role ahead of next season. The 29-year-old is expected to face added competition for a place in the Gunners' side next season, especially if Declan Rice makes the switch to North London. Arteta may have been experimenting with getting Partey in the side without using space up in midfield. Tony Adams names the Arsenal player Mikel Arteta should have used more. Arsenal legend Tony Adams has criticized Mikel Arteta for a lack of rotation this season and suggested Emile Smith-Rowe should have played more. The Gunners' boss has gone with Martinelli and Saka off the flanks most weeks, but in the end, the pair appeared to run out of steam as City won the title. Yesterday's loss at Nottingham Forest was another low point of recent weeks for Arsenal, and speaking on Sky Sport, Adams believes Arteta has himself to blame. Speaking to Jamie Carragher and the Sky team after the game, Adams was clearly upset at what he'd been seen in recent weeks from Arsenal and Arteta, and the Gunners legend claims that Smith-Rowe, who was once again benched, should have been involved more. He said, "We have depended on Martinelli and Saka for most of the season. To give them a rest now and again, they could have given Emile Smith-Rowe a bit more aim time for me. He could have subbed Martinelli and let him play off the left-hand side. Just because we are always going to need them, we need them to get over the line. I have been waiting for the errors to come, and they weren't coming. Everything was stable. We had it going on, but as soon as the resources, a couple of injuries, people lost their form, it just didn't work. I think it's been lost 3 months ago. Arsenal need more in terms of quality and depth, and from there, they need Mikel Arteta to use that depth. The Gunners face a crucial summer. Everyone else will be adding to their squad, and Arsenal need to make sure they get the right faces in the building. They have done superbly well this season, but Adam is right, more rotation was needed, and Smith-Rowe could well have contributed a lot more than he did. Mikel Arteta would love Arsenal to sign a special £55 million Brazilian this summer. Arsenal are preparing to ramp up their summer transfer push as they look to bring in key players for Mikel Arteta to use next season. A number of positions are being looked at right now. A central midfielder and another winger are seen as a priority for the Gunners. And according to Goal, Barcelona winger and former Leeds man is still very much on the hit list for Arsenal. Rafinha has been linked with a move to Arsenal for some time. He was said to be picking between the Gunners and Chelsea when he ultimately got his dream move to Barcelona. However, with the Spanish side under financial pressure, there could be some sales this summer, and Rafinha might be one of the players who could be moved on. According to Goal, Mikel Arteta remains a huge admirer of the Brazilian winger, and with a close relationship between Edu and Rafinha's agent, Deco, a deal is seen as possible. Rafinha has ended up playing a key role for Barca this season. He's hit double figures in goals and assists and featured more than 40 times. Any move by Arsenal to bring him back, then, is likely to be an expansive one. While Arsenal do have a good squad and some fine players, they need to get closer to the feel of Man City's squad. If you look at Guardiola's options, he has Grealish, Mahrez, Foden, Alvarez, Bernardo Silva, and more who can play in those wide areas. for Arsenal. If Saka is injured, suddenly things look depleted. Signing a player like Rafinha would take Arsenal closer to the look and feel of City. The Brazilian has been excellent over a number of seasons now and knows the Premier League well. Certainly, he'd not be a player any Arsenal fan would go turning their nose up at. Fabrizio Romano claims Arsenal have held talks with £70 million player over summer move. Fabrizio Romano has claimed that Arsenal have already spoken to Brighton star Moses Caicedo about signing him this summer. Mikel Arteta's men suffered a 1-0 defeat at Nottingham Forest yesterday, ending their hopes of winning the Premier League title. Arsenal have performed well above expectations this season, but Arteta will be hoping to go one better next season. The Gunners have already been heavily linked with moves for the likes of West Ham's Declan Rice and Brighton's Moses Caicedo, as Arteta bids to bolster his options in midfield. Indeed, the Times reported earlier this week that Arsenal are interested in bringing both players to North London. The Guardian also claimed on Thursday that Caicedo is increasingly likely to leave the Amex Stadium this summer. Now, Romano has told Give Me Sport that Arsenal have already held a conversation with the player after missing out on him in January. Romano shared an update on Arsenal's interest in Caicedo ahead of the summer. He said, "It's not going to be easy for sure because, for Caicedo, there is a lot of interest. All the top English clubs are working around Moses Caicedo, so it's not easy. This is why Arsenal tried to sign him in January. They wanted to be fast because they knew it would be complicated to attack the Moses Caicedo situation in the summer. But for sure, there is Arsenal interest and there has been a conversation with the player's side." Arsenal had two bids rejected for the 21-year-old in January, with Sky Sport reporting that the second was worth up to £70 million. Caicedo has impressed at Brighton under Roberto De Zerbi this season, and it's no surprise to see him attracting interest from a host of top sides. It remains to be seen whether or not Arsenal will return for the Ecuador international, though. While it seems that their board are ready to back Arteta once again this summer, it would be a surprise if they landed both Caicedo and Rice. Nevertheless, Arsenal will be keen to add more quality to their squad as they bid to close the gap on Manchester City while competing in the Champions League next season. Premier League boss makes it clear he will not consider having incredible Arsenal target in his squad next term. Pep Guardiola has told the Manchester City hierarchy that he will not consider allowing Joao Cancelo back into his squad next season, in a news which may alert Arsenal. That is according to a report from the Daily Mirror, which suggests that Manchester City could look to make an audacious swap bid, which involves Bayern München star Joshua Kimmich. Arsenal, of course, are coming to terms with the fact that they have officially missed out on the Premier League title after their defeat on Saturday. It has been a remarkable campaign for Mikel Arteta's side, but they need to push the boat out to kick on from here. Report from 90 Minutes claimed that Arsenal want Cancelo. Meanwhile, Football Transfers have previously suggested that Manchester City could look to do a swap deal involving Cancelo and Kieran Tierney, but City may be wary of strengthening Arsenal further, and with that, the Daily Mirror is now reporting that the citizens may look to negotiate a swap with Bayern München, which would involve Joshua Kimmich moving to East Lands. The good news for Arsenal is that Guardiola has reportedly made it clear that he will not contemplate Joao Cancelo returning to his dressing room next year. The wide man caused unrest around the World Cup over his lack of game time, so a permanent move looks inevitable. Cancelo has not had the easiest loan spell at Bayern, and Kimmich has established himself as one of the finest midfielders in the world with the Bavarian Giants. So you would imagine that they would take some convincing to consider a swap. But not only would a swap see Arsenal miss out on Cancelo, but also Kimmich. Report from Marca this week have suggested that Arsenal are one of the sides keen on Kimmich. Cancelo arguably appears to be the more realistic signing for Arsenal. He is an incredible talent, and City will be wary of selling more players to the Gunners, but presumably Guardiola would rather see Cancelo head to the Emirates than returning to Manchester City this summer. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.